hopping and a bopping and a singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, 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 rockin' robin, tweet, tweet.
Welcome to Life is Good. I'm Heather McKeown, your ever-beloved hostess, and guess where we are? Well, I would tell you if I knew. Where are we? What is this building
Work
called?
Commons.
Work Commons. It's got gorgeous offices up here and beautiful things that I never knew existed until I started getting involved with this group. The movers and groovers and shakers and bakers and everything in Newport, and they've included me warmly, thank heavens, because I was lonely, and now I have people to volunteer with. So this is Bevin with a hyphenated last name ending in Campbell. How do you call it?
Bevin, mostly just Bevin.
Bevin is such
It's
a
the
cool
only
one.
one usually.
What are we here for today?
Today we are talking about winter cycling, bicycling, riding a bike in the winter for fun or for getting places.
And you're a mover and groover nationwide for that.
I don't know about that. I've taught a lot of classes. I'm a certified cycling instructor. Does that sound official?
Well, I'm a certifiable cycler.
Yes,
That kind of works.
I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I love biking, but I have broken a lot of rules and a lot of bones. So what we should do here tonight, if you're interested in cycling, completely all year round, Newport you might not think is the place to do it. Northeast Kingdom you might not think is the place to do it, but if you know how to do it safely and you have the right equipment, Bevin will teach you how to do it. So I'll get behind the camera now. Thank you, Bevin.
Awesome. I'm
And thank you
excited.
everybody here. Watch the rest of the show. We're all going to learn something.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. I love teaching this class, so you're just indulging me is all. I have been riding a bike for transportation since I was a kid, and riding in the winter, through the full winter, probably at least 10 years on and off of doing that, mostly out west, so I'm probably kind of soft in comparison because Vermont's a whole nother deal than riding in the beautiful, rocky, warm sun in the middle of the winter. So, yeah, we will dive in. All right, so it's possible. I think in our minds, we think of biking not being a winter sport. When you shift and think about biking in winter and you start doing it, it just kind of becomes pretty normal. It's a great way to embrace winter and be outside. You are probably tougher than you think. I don't know, I guess I'm tough because I grew up in Minnesota, so I expect all Vermonters to be equally tough. But I'm actually kind of a wimp about the cold too, so it's all about dressing and you can be comfortable and warm. Sometimes it sucks, but then you learn really good lessons and you figure it out for the next time. That's actually my favorite part about winter cycling is it's really empowering. I'm actually not a very positive person, but I've had days getting off the bike when it was like really hard and I was like, oh my God, anything is possible. Like I can think of a new solution. So I really like the problem solving part of it. So if I have a complicated ride in the cold and I go home and I come up with a new hack for it, I really like it and it like really empowers me. I do have a record for how cold, and you guys are all going to try to guess what it is, and whoever guesses closest gets a pair of darn tough socks. So we'll do that maybe halfway through. So I love it. But before we talk about winter cycling, I always like to talk about the benefits of using a bike for transportation or fun or recreation. It is so good for you. There are lots and lots of studies studying the people that ride bikes for transportation and showing that they're healthier, they lose weight, it fights disease, they don't get cancer as much, they have better mental health. They've been studying people all over the world, they live longer, so there's just a real benefit to biking. It's great for our community. Today, there is a line of cars at 5 o'clock down on this main street, and it bums me out. So we gotta keep working on integrating other modes of transportation. I love the front row parking. It's not such a problem in Newport, but I've lived in a lot of towns where I just ride my bike up to the front of the store and I go right in and there's no parking, so I love that. It definitely helps me build my skills. So when I go mountain biking in the summer, I'm like, oh, I learned a new skill from biking in the snow. So I really like that part about it. It's a great time outside. Okay, Lila, that's Stella. You've met Stella. She's a big girl, right? Yeah. That's Stella when she was in 4th grade, and she's riding on the back of my bike. You and I need to go biking so you can ride on the back of that bike and ride your bike, right?
Wait, I have a tiny bike.
I know, and then can we bike to school together someday? I really want to bike to school with you. Yeah?
To Canada.
It's a deal.
To Canada. I'll bike to Canada with you because I do that.
Yeah, I know, really. We're gonna have so much fun. All right, I talked a little bit about fighting disease. I always like to throw in the data point. The average adult loses 13 pounds their first year of commuting by bicycle. This is exercise. And so the coolest thing about the latest recs from American Heart Association.
It's always good to be above average here.
I know, me too.
I gained like 25 pounds.
I know.
You just have to eat 3 times as much.
It used to work for me, but I don't know anymore.
It's a bummer for me because I'm self-employed and I work. I walk 13 feet from my kitchen.
I know!
I
Right?
have to ride my bike around the living room. Oh, that won't work. Never mind.
Exactly, right? Yeah. But the cool thing about the new recs I love about exercise, everybody used to think you had to exercise for half an hour solid straight. Now they've actually determined that you can add it up in 5 to 10 minute increments. So if you bike to the store and it's 5 to 10 minutes, and then you bike somewhere else that day, in those 10-minute increments you can meet your daily requirement. Which I just really like to motivate people on that, because I'm like, everybody's like, oh, how do I get that daily requirement?
That seems too big, but if you do it, yeah.
Yeah, you break it down.
Yeah.
80% of Americans do not get their daily requirement. We all know that there's a lot of benefits. People are afraid of biking around cars, and I absolutely feel like the health benefits outweigh the risks 20 to 1, but also, I don't know, I worry much more about my fate in a car than on a bicycle, sadly. All right, so the foundation of what I've been taught as an instructor of safe cycling is this concept called vehicular cycling. So I always like to talk about it really quick. So it's basically the concept, vehicular, meaning as a bike you're also a vehicle, and that as a cyclist you will fare best if you act and are treated as a driver of another type of vehicle. A bike is a tool and a toy. So we like to say, same road, same rights, same rules, please follow the rules. There's lots of reasons why. You have the same responsibilities. Okay, so the basics of vehicular cycling is, why do you want to drive your bike, same rights, same rules, right? Because then you're predictable. If you just ride your bike willy-nilly on whatever side of the road, and you don't signal your turns, and you don't stop at stop signs, you're not driving your bicycle, you're not being predictable. How does that, it impacts the other drivers. If you're being predictable on your bike, the cars are like, ah, okay, I know what she's going to do next, because she's predictable. So, drive your bike in a predictable manner by following the rules of the road. Be visible. This is key. I totally believe if you maximize all your opportunities to be visible, your chance of getting hit by a car are greatly decreased. Clothing. You can wear bright clothing, reflective clothing. You can have lights on your bike. I love how so many bicycle tourists and recreational cyclists now are doing day running lights. So they're doing front white and rear red light during the day as well. Great idea. Definitely do it. We're going to talk about lane positioning. The way you place yourself in the road is going to make you more visible, and I'll show you some pictures of that in a second. Of course, be a defensive driver. It's a good idea in the car. You're aware, you're cautious. The people that get hit by bikes, I mean, they are the people that are like biking out of a driveway or not stopping at a stop sign getting hit by cars. So yes, people still get hit by cars, but you've got to have situational awareness. It's actually what they teach you in driver's ed now as well. You're communicating with the cars by using hand signals, by looking at the driver in the eyes. Maybe the driver nods to you because he knows it's your turn to go. And then we'll talk about when to low light, because that's a tricky one when you have those low light angles. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Finally, be confident. You belong on the road. You have a right to be on the road. You can be confident and courteous, but always put your safety first. I always say, safety comes first, then you obey the laws, then you're courteous. So if you have to disobey the law to be safe, well, of course you're going to do that if a cop stops you, which doesn't happen here as much, but happened out in Colorado. I would just say, sorry, I needed to do X so I could be safe, because that's my #1 goal. So just a quick thing about lane positioning. So, do we have any bike lanes in Newport? I don't think we do.
Bike paths.
We have our bike path, which is
No
great.
bike lanes on the road.
No bike lanes. So the principles kind of apply whether there's a bike lane or not. I just quickly, again, it's to advocate for the fact that you have a right to take up the road. You have a right to take up the lane. People talk about sharing the lane and sharing the road. It all gets a little confusing. Sharing to me would be if the road is wide enough, like out west. I don't know if you had that in Missoula, but there's some roads in Fort Collins that they designed them so a carriage could turn around in them. So there's plenty of room for a car and a bike and everyone else, because the road's so wide. So if the road's not wide, like here, it's narrow. For you to share or ride side by side with a car, probably not a good idea because you're going to get crunched against the curb. You're less visible. So just really quickly, some of the principles. When you do have a bike lane, see, everybody loves bike lanes, but look at this scenario. He's going straight and suddenly the car decides to turn right. Driver's education, in case you go to Burlington. Actually, the bike lane is the rightmost lane, so if you are going to take a right in your car, you do want to go in the bike lane. Not everybody understands that, but actually you're making everybody safer because you're going to queue up with the bikes. You're going to take a right. You're not going to do the right hook on the cyclist. But let's say you are biking in your bike lane, what do you need to be thinking about? You got to be looking over your shoulder to make sure a car is not going to turn right on you. What do I recommend? I have friends out west that if they're going to go through an intersection, most dangerous place, this is where most accidents happen for cars and bikes. This is when you got to be really aware. You want to always think about queuing up, biking slowly, making sure everybody sees you. If you queue up in this low row of cars, you're actually more visible. Right now, this car is taller than you. If someone decided to take a left here, they might not see you behind that car. So you want to queue up for all intersections. Just one of the things I like to talk about. And taking up the lane, feel good about it. You never want to take a right hand from here. You want a left hand turn. You're always going to want to queue up with the cars, right?
When you say queue up,
Queue up, line up, line up.
Behind them, like in the lane?
Yeah, you're going to
okay.
merge. You're going to wait your turn until there's a space for you to merge in. And you're going to be in line with all the cars.
Okay.
It's something we're going to have to start teaching the cars in Newport because they're probably not used to any of these concepts. So anyways, think of yourself being like the car. It does make you more visible. Definitely safer in intersections, which is really important. I've had too many people get... And go slow in intersections. I think when bikes get hit is they go really fast through an intersection because they just want to get through it, but actually it makes them less visible. Final defense is wearing a helmet. I'm a huge fan of the helmet because I want little people to wear a helmet, so I always wear my helmet. And I couldn't get on a bicycle without my helmet. So hoping you guys all know how to wear it properly. You want to make sure it's down, not more than 2 fingers above your eyebrows, right? And you like to have these nice V's around our ears. And then, this doesn't have to be choking you. Just a couple fingers is good. And then you've got this great dealie. You always want to do that guy.
What was that guy?
Oh, one of those. I don't know what they call them.
Mud flat?
Mud
What
flaps.
do they call that? So wear a helmet, wear it properly. Oh, I met a surgeon in Colorado that had to put all the broken heads back together, and the woman was traumatized. I was like, I'll wear my helmet for life, don't worry. They used to say you had to replace your helmet after 5 years. Someone at Local Motion told me that's not true now, but don't wear a really old helmet. The styrofoam is going to start to degrade over time.
And only wear it for one crash.
And yeah, crash, yep, got to replace it. Back to winter cycling. Who wants to guess what my record is? I've got some pens in here.
You look at not windshield, just actual temp.
Just
Yeah.
and it is below 0, obviously.
Yeah.
You get one.
Zero
One
or
tip.
It is below 0.
Zero or freezing?
Fahrenheit below 0.
Below 0,
degrees.
yeah, it's a negative number. I can give you that. Are you gonna? You can work on that while I keep going.
Right number.
Oh, I'm passing up there.
Negative number, it's my math score.
What number?
And I'll keep talking. This is one of those days
There's your pen error.
Yeah.
when I really, and this is one of my things, I would rather ride a bike than get in a car
Oh,
when
it has
it's
to be
below
before.
0.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you very
This
much.
is one of those days. I did that. So we talked about the benefits of bicycling. The first thing I always like to tell people, you're going to make your own rules. Like winter cycling, like today, behold winter cycling. Today is winter, the roads are dry, it was 40 degrees. That's a great day of winter cycling. Maybe you only winter cycle when there's no snow on the ground, right? Whereas me, I was bike commuting in a snowstorm back in Colorado. So safety first, you're only going to do what feels comfortable to you. Maybe set some goals. Prepare and practice. If you want to practice biking in the snow, maybe do it on your quiet street or find a quiet street. Prepare the clothing, and we'll talk a lot about that. It's like take the time to really think about it the night before, because when you get up in the morning and you're rushing to work, I don't have time, I'm just gonna drive. So get ready the night before and take baby steps and enjoy it. That day I think was below 0, but beautiful, warm Colorado sun. All right, what bicycles should you use? I prefer just a mountain bike. I like having that tread and that width. I have friends that ride those skinny little tires in the snow. I don't know how they do it, but they do. Some people like fat bikes. Isn't that funny they're called that? They have really fat tires because they float. It's really based on comfort. You really can ride any bike in the
I've never ridden
snow.
a fat bike. Are they hard in the snow or not really?
Have you never ridden one?
I've never ridden one either.
We should do one. Yeah, we should do a fat bike day.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I see people on like the Men for Make-Up Trail.
Yeah. I had one for a while and I sold it. So I prefer a wide tire.
JP rents them too, I guess.
Yeah.
At the
Oh,
mountain.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I wonder if we could get some of them bikes here. We could do a fat
That'd be fun.
fat bike day. Take a little air out when it's pretty snowy, just have a slightly softer tire. I didn't have studded tires for a long time, but once I got them, they really are a game changer just confidence-wise, because you will not slide out on the ice with
Can
them.
you,
Do you have any?
would you wear the studs? I actually get rides when it's snowing. 'Cause I'm learning.
Yeah.
So do you use the studs? Do you have a different bike or do you wear the studs even
I
when it's
just
dry?
put them on for the winter.
And then you go when it's dry, you use
Yeah,
them.
you know what? I need to put them on my long tail and I'll bring it to town. You could ride one of my bikes
Okay.
and try it. Because I brought it home so I could put that out.
I wouldn't mind
They're
riding
nice.
in the winter.
And they're not, I mean, they're slightly
Are they
pricey.
slower?
People make them, you must know people in Montana, they make them themselves with screws. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Are they slower, rolling
No.
resistance wise?
I don't think so. Some people think they're tiny, they're slippery on pavement, but I guess it's the same with a car, right? But I really like them. In Vermont, I would definitely not do winter cycling here without them, just because like out west, the snow was drier.
Yeah.
It was like, you could kind of get away without them. But here, if you were gonna ride, you know, daily and you just want to feel confident and comfortable. Fenders. I had fenders on my bike in Colorado, and one day I was like, why do I have fenders? Like, you don't need fenders out west. Here, oh my gosh. You want
I don't
fenders
have
on your
fenders
bike?
and I need
We
them.
gotta get you some.
Face gets muddy.
Oh, yeah, you gotta have them.
It's
I
just,
need windshield wipers
Yeah,
and glasses.
Yeah.
it's so wet here. Like having a bike without fenders here is funny. 'Cause
I don't know
really,
what they
it's such a
were
great
for. You
accessory.
mentioned it.
It's a great accessory, and they're not that expensive. And you can get some pretty reasonably priced fenders, so definitely recommend those. Just for comfort, you don't get to work soaked. Flat pedals, so you can wear your snow boots, your muck boots, your hiking boots, whatever. And disc brakes tend to do better in really wet, like icy, wet, crazy conditions. But again, any bike
Front wheel drive.
Front wheel drive.
that'll work. It's, you know, your bike can get a little trash from all the gunk and stuff, so take good care of it. You know, clean your chain or it will rust. You can get your bike winterized. I've never done that. Probably if I was biking every day in the winter in Vermont, I'd probably go to a bike shop that maybe knew how to do that. And
What do they
you know,
do for that?
I think they put like some coating on the bike.
Oh, like
Maybe it was
undercoat it,
similar, but
like
they-
that?
Yeah, it's like undercoating the car.
Yeah. Taking care of your back. Visibility, so the days are short, the light is at a low angle, so yeah, do your front and rear lights. It is the law. I think that's
What's the law?
only at night. Night operation in Vermont, I do have the list of the laws. It does require a front light and a rear light
I
or
wouldn't
reflector.
go without it anyway.
Yeah,
I agree.
If I go at 4 in the morning, so
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
if you need to be super duper visible, putting one on your helmet.
No, but it just takes one, yeah.
And wearing reflective, got some good reflective options. Oh, you know what's really cool that I don't have and I need to buy? You can buy reflective tape and you can just cut out little dots and like put it down the arm of your coat or put it down the side of your leg so that you're getting that lower reflection. So you can just add reflection to anything. These are nice, just like a basic.
Holy God.
I know, these are so cool. We should get some of these to give away.
Kids have
For
those
your-
for bracelets.
It's one of those
Snap.
pant things.
Yeah.
That hold your pants, yeah. And that's reflective in yellow.
I take it. Pick and
That was
shovel.
shocking.
Just get a real simple yellow vest. You know, they're not, you can get one probably at Pick and Shovel, just so you have something to throw on that's bright with these low light and gray days. And yeah, the reflective, they have iron-on, but they just have these ones that are like stickers. And I had a friend that just loaded that up on everything. So low light, the tricky thing with low light, so when you have the really low sun angles, what you just want to be mindful of with low light. So if the sun is in your eyes, it means it's in the eyes of the cars behind you. If the sun's not in your eyes, it's probably in the eyes of the car in front of you. So you need to be thinking, who has the sun in their eyes who may not see me? So for example, let's say I wanted to merge into the lane to take a left-hand turn. I might elect not to do that in a low light moment because the chance of someone actually not seeing me is too high. So I might just hop off my bike and walk across the road as opposed to being out on the road. So those are kind of decisions you need to make, in particular with low light. Okay, dressing. How are we doing on time?
That low light's scary, because I walk with the kids a lot, and we were at Domino's, I was waiting, and this car whipped out, and the sun was in their eyes, I'm like, oh, my
They
poor
will
kids.
not see you.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
low light
God.
for cars is a real problem.
Yeah, and it wasn't like,
So you're not thinking about low light for you, you're thinking about how it's impacting the people around you.
Especially this time of year because windshields
Yeah.
are so dirty too.
Oh, yeah.
So the glare on the windshield makes it.
I flew green, I was getting hit a lot, I was walking somewhere, and some guy was texting, his truck pulled over,
Yeah.
I walked in front of him, he was parked, took off and ran into me.
Really?
I'm like, dude, you gotta look up
Were
before you
walking?
take off.
Were you walking?
I was walking.
Wow.
Like, he was parked. Like,
This
I could-
whole mindfulness, and I forgot to bring that up when I talked about the rules of the road. We still highly recommend, and I was talking to Heather about this, that the right side of the road to bike on is with the flow of traffic, same direction as the cars. Heather was pointing out that you actually bike facing the traffic
I don't bike on the roads anymore, but.
on one road
but I
because,
used to do long distance and to get to, on the other side of the mountain. And very wide roads, but I was run off the road 5 times in one season,
oh my gosh.
and I never, and because of texting. I assumed it was texting, they were weaving. So I would prefer to drive defensively. There's not a lot of traffic, but they were all really bad. So.
Yeah. So in a town, in a city, we recommend you always ride on the right with the flow of traffic because if you are riding if you're riding facing traffic, counter traffic, let's say I'm coming to an intersection, I don't look right to see if a biker's coming the wrong way. I look left. And so the idea is that you're not predictable, right? So cars aren't looking for you when you're on the wrong
Yeah,
side of
this
the
is
road. Does
great.
that make
This
sense?
is just pure highway, so I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't worried about the turning, but I would
Yeah.
be more mindful. I never allow a car to make my decisions.
I know. With texting, so all the data's changed. Before all the texting, they actually did prove that the chance of getting hit from behind on a bike is actually pretty rare. That has gone up with texting,
Yeah.
sadly. Because that's your mentally, you're biking along, you're like, is that car gonna hit me from the back? But actually, it's a really rare occurrence. It's not really how bikers get hit. But you're being really proactive. You're
Well,
wanting to.
they were weaving after they passed me. You could tell they didn't see me because they immediately overcorrect.
Yeah, I do feel like
You're
compared
going
to
to be the same driver. for
I was
5
saying to my
days.
son in Vermont, like compared to living in a city, you can be a really sloppy driver here because there's not a lot of cars. You're not like driving in massive traffic. There's not pedestrians like if you're just on Route 5A or whatever that you can get kind of sloppy. So and again, if you're not used to seeing bikers, you're not looking for bikers or pedestrians. It's a chronic problem. So how to dress, a couple of principles. You're basically dressing for an active winter activity. A lot of my dressing tips and tricks that I've learned for biking, I actually learned from doing other things like mountaineering and ice climbing and kind of applied some and backcountry skiing. So this is an active sport. Like you might get pretty hot, so you got to think about that. And you'll learn like kind of what your right outfit is for, oops, wrong way.
riding a regular bike and an e-bike, like I've done both. and
Yeah.
Definitely down dress on the regular bike.
Right.
Yeah.
E-bike, you get a little cold compared to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not using or working.
Exactly. So you're depending on the workout.
Yeah.
It's very individualized. You have to try it out. It's trial and error. Of course, it's wearing just the right amount. I don't know. I found in Vermont, like I get even hotter here, so I have to really start really cold here when I do anything outside. I don't know what that is, and I get so hot in my core, but then my face and my neck is still freezing. So I feel like in Vermont, it's like I almost want a jacket that zips up from the bottom because I want to keep my neck warm. Like your face is still freezing, but you're so hot. It's very strange for me here. I'm still trying to figure out the right outfit for
I think
things.
it's the humidity that's different.
It's definitely more humid.
Yeah, I know that.
When I first moved back out east from Montana the first time, I went skiing and I was like, I'm freezing. Why am I so cold? I'm freezing. I'm wearing the same outfit I always wore in Montana at 20 degrees, freezing. I was like, oh, it's humid. I was like, had to make that calculation. So yeah, avoid getting sweaty, right? Sweat is death in an outdoor sport. So you want to wear clothes that breathe, and I've got some good examples for that I'll show you in a minute. But you're dressing basically, it's not downhill skiing, it's uphill skiing, right? Especially based on the conditions. So maybe you're going to want to just have extra stuff with you. Maybe it's going to be colder in the morning or colder on the way home. I just basically would use the thermometer, I guess now it would be my phone, and I would just be like, oh, it's 20 degrees, I wear X. Oh, it's 0, I wear X. Like I'll show you some examples of that. I just kind of know what I wear at the different temperatures. And then your cold spots. So me, it's like my neck. I don't like when my neck or my ankles get cold. It makes me fussy. It's like bizarre things. My biggest problem was like everywhere was warm and I would get so cold between my eyes. So I'll show you my hack for that. So that's for me, it's like if I can arrive at my destination, like if I am too cold when I get there, I'm kind of grumpy, but if I have just the right outfit on, I'm like totally happy when I arrive. Oh, and the other thing that really varies, the funny thing is like in a snowstorm, when I bike in snow, that's actually more work because you're like going through like, you know, layers of snow, you're biking harder. So you actually you think you're gonna wear all these extra clothes when it's snowing, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually like hotter because I'm working pretty hard.
And it's usually not super cold when it's snowing. I mean, it's not usually.
It's not as cold, yeah, you think you're gonna be super cold. I love the picture at the beginning, that was my friend in Minnesota. She's like, I think that day was -20. And her Instagram post was, as always, overdressed. Because she had so much stuff on, and then she got totally hot because she had too much on. So wear a base layer that's not cotton, ideally. If you have wool or one of the synthetics that wicks, so you don't get too wet, especially if you're going to be out for a long time. Have some good insulating layers. That would be your neck layers. Neck zips are good. Although for me, that's what stays cold the whole time. Wear enough to be warm and that you can breathe and not sweat. And I, start cold. I don't know if you find that in Vermont. I have to start really cold just to walk the dog, and I'm like roasting before I
Be
know
bold,
it.
start cold.
Start cold. So
I said it.
this, I'm gonna grab this.
real.
Yeah.
This is one of my really big principles that I learned actually from my husband. It was sort of like there's this like anti-vortex era. So I would probably never wear a waterproof, breathable, laminate, Gore-Tex, whatever you guys call it. Like I maybe wear this once a year out west. I probably still even wouldn't wear it much in Vermont because I find these really hot. They're not breathable enough for me. So I always encourage people to go with something that's called like wind resistant, water resistant, unless it's pouring, and something that is a lot more breathable. And so if you're out shopping or at a gear exchange, you can see how much I loved the most loved jacket in the world. It finally, the second zipper blew out. This is my absolute most favorite. Biking, climbing, backcountry skiing. This jacket is just amazing because it's wind and water resistant, but it's not windproof. And so what I tell people is you can do a blow test. So you just take your hand on the inside. And air can actually go through this. I had a day biking, commuting, and I was wearing this jacket. I think it was 10 degrees. And I had this moment where it was like, I am the perfect temperature right now. Like just enough air could permeate to help me cool a little bit. And also it was breathing, right? I'm having evaporative heat loss, so I'm losing weight, I'm not sweating. And it was like one of those moments where I was like, I'm wearing the perfect jacket. And so we call these soft shells, is what this is like. This is a hard shell versus soft shell. This is another example of a soft shell. This is just a non-insulated. It has a little wind and water resistance to it. Your basic like down or synthetic insulated coat is going to have pretty good breathability. This one I think has a tighter weave on it, so this one's not as breathable. I'd probably start wearing this like close to 0 just because it's going to be cold enough. Or I'd wear a lighter weight down jacket that's nice and breathable. I had friends who were like, I could never biking down, I would get too hot. And I'm like, I actually get hotter in this than I get in this because this will breathe. Right. That makes sense. Yeah. So you can come play with all these and do the breath test at some point. I'm also a really huge, one of my favorite things are hoods. I learned this ice climbing. I don't know what it is about hoods. Even a thin hood like this, if I put this on and I'm feeling too cold, like perceptibly, I feel like I warm up by like 10, I've changed the temperature by like 10 degrees by just putting a hood on my head. So I'm like a huge believer in hoods. I would never buy a coat without a hood. Almost all the hoods are designed now to fit over helmets. Some people worry about hoods impacting their visibility, but I feel like if I turn, I can still see. So love the hood.
It probably does trap it
It's a
up.
weird
You get
thing.
there,
It's just one, yeah. You can pull it down when you start to get warm.
Okay, this is Lilo, and one of my very favorite guests ever in the whole wide world. And Lilo, what do you like best about biking?
About biking, I love how you have to pedal. If you want to go slow or fast, yeah. If you want to go fast, you have to pedal fast.
Yes,
And if you want to go slow, you have to pedal slow.
that's right.
That's
And-
what I like about biking.
Well, that's what we like about you. Everything's fast and slow. You've got perfect pace, my dear. What would you like to do this coming winter? Would you like to go bike riding in the snow?
Yes,
What would you do? Would you go fast or slow?
slow because I want to be careful.
You are amazing, young lady.
Thank you for watching.
Life is good.
And the last time you blew kisses to your dad, you want to do that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Do it?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much.